Hey everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be talking about my recommended reads for contemporary. So contemporary or realistic fiction is obviously realistic. It takes place in the real world, and it's kind of classified as nothing that has any like fantastical elements or anything like that, and it's a huge genre. So I have 10-ish recommendations, and I say ish because I kind of have it divided into some where it's just like random books, and then the first part will be specific authors in the contemporary genre that I think you should read. But a couple of the authors are really popular, so I'm only going to talk about them briefly, but the rest I will kind of delve more into. So you'll kind of get it as I get into it, so let's just get into it. So the first author that I have to talk about is one that is one of my favorites ever of all the genres, and I would just be remiss to not include him in this video, and that is of course John Green. So these are two of my favorites of his books. I'm going to be recommending 3 of them out of all the ones that he's written. I have read all of them, but these 3 are just my favorite. So the first one is obviously The Fault in Our Stars. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and I just absolutely adore it. It's one of the books that really got me into reading, and I've read it so many times and I just absolutely love it. And then the next one is Paper Towns, which I would say is my least favorite out of the 3 that I am recommending, but I do still really enjoy this one, and I like what it kind of contemplates and the message that it is giving. And the other one is Looking for Alaska. That's one of my all-time favorites, and I just think it's just such a great book, and once again I really like the message. And I think that John Green's books really all have a message, and it's a really important message, and he does a really great job of conveying that message in a way that isn't really condescending. I really like his characters. I do find that sometimes the characters are a little bit unrealistic with how knowledgeable they are, but at the same time, you know you're reading a John Green book because of the characters, and I personally really like that. I like the fact that his work is so quotable, and I really enjoy him, so yeah. The next author I'm going to recommend is Morgan Matson. I love Morgan Matson so much. I just think her books are so fun and so different, and that's why I love them so much. So I have only read these 3 of her books. I plan on reading Second Chance Summer very soon. Like, that'll probably be the next book that I pick up after I finish the book that I'm currently reading. I want to get into that one, but I know it's going to be heartbreaking, so I've kind of been putting it off. But this is her most recent book, The Unexpected Everything, and it's a close second. Like, it's so hard for me to rank her books because I absolutely adored this one. It's about a politician's daughter who ends up being a dog walker. Her world is kind of turned upside down when there's a huge scandal with her father, and you just kind of see her going off the beaten path when she's had everything planned for her whole life, and now nothing is as she had anticipated. So it's kind of her trying to navigate the world now that it's not perfectly planned. And then we have Since You've Been Gone, which is about a girl who's her best friend is really like outgoing, and the protagonist of this book she's really kind of to herself, really soft-spoken and just kind of sheltered, and her best friend ends up going missing or just leaving, and she leaves her a bucket list of things to do while she's gone. So it's just about her doing these things, kind of breaking out of her shell and learning to live without kind of having her best friend as her crutch. So I really enjoyed that one. And then we have Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, which is probably her most popular work, I would say, and I think this one is my absolute favorite. I just loved it. I loved the characters, and I loved the whole concept. Like, her books, not all of them, but a lot of them have playlists in them, and they have like just little extra things. Like, I can never find it when I'm trying to show it, but it'll have like pictures of the place that they're going, because what's happening is the girl's father has just died, and she has to get her car across the country, but he's died in a car accident, so she's not really comfortable with that. So a family friend, Roger, has been enlisted to go with her, and they've been given this route, but they decide to go completely off the route and go on their own road trip. And it's just tons of fun, and I think it's one of the, if not the best, road trip book that I've ever read. The next author I have to recommend is Rainbow Rowell, and I have two favorites out of the books of hers that I've read. I have read most of them. The only two that I haven't read are Carry On, which I do own now, and what is it? Attachment. So I haven't read those two yet, but I do plan on reading them, and Carry On is fantasy anyways, so it wouldn't be included in here. But these two are my favorites out of hers that I have read. So Fangirl is definitely my ultimate favorite. It's about Kath, who is in her first year as an English major. So I read this in my second year, but I still found it really relatable. She loves fan fiction, so she has this whole world of fandoms that she absolutely adores, and I just found her to be a really relatable character, and it's one of the most relatable books that I've ever read, and I plan on rereading it soon so then I can do a review for you guys. By the way, if I have a review for any of these books, I'll link it down below for you guys as per usual. And then my second favorite out of her books is Eleanor Park. This is probably her most popular book, and it's just a really cool story about two kind of weird kids who develop this relationship during the 80s, and it's just kind of, you get to navigate their world, and super quirky, super fun, and just really enjoyable. My final actual author recommendation is Huntley Fitzpatrick. Now, I have read 2 of her books. She has 3 out, I believe, unless I'm missing one. I know that there's a sequel to this one, but I finally read this one. I have had this book on so many monthly TBRs that it is just ridiculous, but I finally read it this past month, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the concept of it, where this girl lives with her mom and her sister, and they live in this really secluded family. They're really kind of like quiet and to themselves, but then their neighbors have this huge family. There's like 10 kids, and they're super loud, super crazy, and it's just kind of her life as she kind of goes on the other side of the fence and ends up developing a relationship with one of the boys in the huge family, despite her mother's wishes. But you get to see her kind of wrapped up in this world of craziness, and it's really awesome to see her kind of come out of her shell. So I really enjoyed that book. And then we have What I Thought Was True, which is about a girl who lives on this it's kind of like a summer vacationing island, but she lives there permanently, and she went to the mainland once and had this kind of night where she made what she thinks is a mistake, and then that mistake ends up on the island and she can't really avoid it anymore. So it's just kind of her trying to navigate the summer with trying to avoid this mistake that kind of has just come to smack her in the face. I just really like these books. I like the characters and I like the writing. It's really great, and I just think she's a really great summer writer. So my first random contemporary recommendation is Winger by Andrew Smith. This follows a boy who is 14, but he is in his sophomore year of high school, and it's kind of him trying to navigate high school as a younger kid and trying to kind of like grow up and figure things out. This book is really, really fun, but then the end packs a real punch that you're not expecting, and that's what really made me love it so much. I also read the second book in the duology, which is Standoff, and that one was really great as well. Not quite as good as this one, but overall I would recommend this duology. It's really cool and just kind of a nice look at having a male protagonist, because you don't get male protagonists very often. Next up is Everything Everything by Nicola Youn. This book is about a girl who is allergic to literally everything. She can't leave her house. She's kind of like that bubble girl. She kind of has to live in this bubble, but she ends up meeting a boy who lives across the street. Their windows are across from each other, so she ends up developing a relationship with someone who isn't her parents or her mother or her caregiver for the first time, and you kind of get to see her meeting someone new and trying to navigate the world like that. I've said navigate like 6 times in this video. I'm sorry. Apparently that's the word of the day today. But I really liked this book. I did have issues with the ending, but overall I liked the message of going on an adventure and kind of like leaving your own bubble, even if it's a self-made bubble. The sun keeps on going behind the clouds, and it is really ruining my lighting, so I'm sorry that I look pink right now, or at least I look pink to me. I don't know. But yeah, this is a really great book and I recommend it. Next up is the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy by Stephanie Perkins. So we have Anna and the French Kiss, which takes place in Paris, and then we have Lola and the Boy Next Door, which takes place in San Francisco, and then we have Isla and the Happily Ever After, which kind of takes place in New York, but not entirely, which was disappointing to me. But overall, I really love this series. It's just the perfect fluffy contemporaries for reading reading by the pool, like if you're going on vacation, road trip read. Like, it is honestly just the perfect, this is the epitome of summer reading, and I just love the whole series. Anna is definitely my favorite, then I would say Isla, and then Lola, but all of them are really, really great. Next up is Night Owls by Jen Bennett. This book is called something else in the States. The anatomical, I believe that's how you say that word, the anatomical shape of the heart. I'll link it down below for you guys because I clearly can't pronounce it, or you can just Google Jen Bennett and I'm sure it will come up. But I bought this book on a whim when I was in England last year, and I absolutely really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. It's definitely very unique. It's about this girl who has this obsession with drawing like the anatomy and like kind of the inner workings of the body, if you will, and it's kind of a really cool, interesting concept to read about. And she meets this boy who, he does different kinds of art, as in he does graffiti and stuff like that. So kind of the clashing of their worlds is really interesting and really well written, and it takes place in San Francisco, which I really enjoyed, and yeah, it was really cool. Next up is Just One Day by Gail Forman. This is a duology. I'm just too lazy to go and get the other book, which is called Just One Year, and I really loved it. It's about this girl who goes on this crazy adventure for just one day in Paris with this guy that she just met, and it's kind of, it's that, but then it's even more. You get to see, like, it's her summer before she starts college. So if you're in that kind of like summer before you start college, I would definitely recommend this book because I think it's a really kind of interesting meditation on that, and it was really relatable for me to read about, and I just think you question a lot of things in that summer and you get to see the character doing that, and it makes you feel like you're not alone, which is really nice because it can be a very lonely period, that transitional period. But I just think it's such a great book. You get to travel the world throughout this duology, and it is seriously awesome. Next is Everything Leads to You by Nina Lacour, and this book is really cool because you get to see a whole different side of Hollywood that you don't really think about, or at least I hadn't thought about. The girl is kind of studying to be a set designer, but she's actively working on designing sets, and you get to see all the kind of thought that goes into that process, and it also has some LGBT characters, which is really cool, and I like how that's not the main focus of the story, it's just kind of another aspect to it. But this book overall was really great, and it's just really fun. And my final contemporary recommendation is the To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Now it's going to be a trilogy by Jenny Han. So this was supposed to be a duology, which I was really happy with. Now it's going to be a trilogy, which I'm kind of meh on. There just aren't that many duologies out there, and I was doing a duologies recommendations video. I had it all filmed, and then they announced that this was going to be a trilogy, so now I have to refilm it, so I'm a little bit bitter about it. But I find this series to be super fun. It's about a girl who had written letters to all the boys that she had ever loved, and then they mysteriously end up getting mailed out, so she kind of has to deal with the fallout of that. It's tons of fun, really love Jenny Han, and it's just a really great now trilogy. So those are all of my recommendations as far as contemporary or realistic fiction goes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books, your thoughts on them, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!